Thank you for being here. Thank you, Patty, that you invited us. And we are the 4 survivors of the Palenque faculty. And before I start, I want to ask you something. Who has been at the seminars in Palenque? 1, 2. Okay, only 4 people. So who has heard? Who has heard about the Palenque seminars? Okay, yeah, it looks like it's legendary. It's it really happened. Yeah. And when we start the seminars, I always tried to convince the participants that they are members of an international, anarchical, non-centralized tribe of psychonauts. Would you consider yourself to be one of the members? Okay, so then I don't have to tell you that it's totally okay to do psychoactive substances. Otherwise you won't be here probably.
Strictly for medicinal purposes.
Of course, strictly for medicinal purpose. So we are not only colleagues, we are really dear friends for a long time. And when Albert Hofmann, the inventor of LSD, told me about Jonathan, he said, "Oh, you know, there is an American version of you living in Mexico." And I think the same he told you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were brothers before we ever met.
Brothers.
Yeah. And of course we share pharmacophilia. Do you understand that term, pharmacophilia? The love of pharmaca, of stuff? Well, I thought a lot about what to talk about, but I don't want to talk about. I want to talk to you, because that's very necessary that we talk to each other and that we help each other and that we still get enough power to stay for I take substances with psychoactive properties because they're good for me. So it's a very personal decision whether you take it or not. But if you consider to take psychoactive substances, please do so only if you really want to do it. And try to find out what you really want. That's the biggest problem. And never take something from anybody who has no knowledge about chemistry and dosing. So, to make it short, I wanted to talk to you about what did we learn in the past 76 years of the existence of LSD, because it all started with Albert Hofmann when he found that magical substance and gave it to the world. Originally, he only wanted to give it to authors and artists and stuff like that, but it was too good. It just jumped out of the lab, and then now we have a 76-year-old history of the LSD experience. And in that time, a lot of things happened, and we learned a lot because the LSD experience shows that it's interesting to connect with other people with the same background. You know how difficult it is to describe the influence of LSD or the property of LSD. I mean, it's almost impossible to talk about. But if you have taken it, then you understand what people talk about. For example, under the influence of LSD, you have this huge, amazing enlightenment, and say one sentence, the grass is green. So that's like the deepest truth you ever can encounter. Yeah, do it on LSD, and then you will understand what I'm talking about. And of course, there was a lot of many scientists of different fields of expertise to join together and to look at psychoactive substances from multidisciplinary point of view. So it's very nice when scientists from different fields join together and exchange their insights and to put a larger picture on a plant or substance than just the pharmacological view or the ethnological view or the linguistic view or whatever. So it's interesting in every science what LSD is about. And I think, because I'm a cultural anthropologist specialized in ethnopharmacology, that every student in this field of anthropology should start with a safe experience of LSD. Otherwise, the understanding of why other people take it and what they benefit from it is difficult to understand. So there should be university introductions to the safe use of LSD and other psychoactive compounds to broaden up our perception, our awareness, and our consciousness. And my scientific life started with an LSD experience in the 70s, it's a long time ago, and over 40 years I do a lot of psychoactive compounds and plants and preparations, and all that enriches my life on a personal level and enriches my science on a scientific level. So after or with the first LSD experience, I looked at a mirror and saw, not myself, I saw a black jaguar. And that told me I have to go to Native America to find out what the jaguar is all about. The jaguar is the shamanic animal in every culture from Mexico down to the south of South America. And so all the shamans there turn into jaguars if they heal. So I wanted to really to study that, and I choose the Lacandon-Indian people of Chiapas in southern Mexico because they were the only not missionized tribe. And in their oral history, Palenque was the birthplace of the universe. So when we were in Palenque, I always, it's better that way? Okay, why didn't you say? So Palenque is a perfect point to start to explore the psychedelic and shamanic universe. And Palenque is a little town in southern Mexico. It's not a very nice town, but it's interesting. There's native people from at least 6 to 7 tribes coming in for doing business and so. And it's a meeting point also between gringos, white people, and with the magic mushrooms of Palenque. Maybe you have heard of these mushrooms. In local Spanish, they are called hongos maravillosos, miraculous mushrooms, and they on sale all the time. After every rain, you can pick them, but it's better if the local people pick them because they really know these mushrooms and they can give you advice how many or how much of the mushrooms you should take. Well, there is no overdose possible. I don't know if you realized that. Because we have certain receptors, and when they are connected to the stuff, then there's nothing more. So a full dose starts at different amounts according to the psilocybe species. So the Palenque mushroom is psilocybe cubensis, which is not very highly concentrated in psilocybin, but the mushroom feels very good in the stomach. And that's very nice to start with. And then, after ingesting the mushrooms, you just go to the archaeological site of Palenque. That's a beautiful archaeological place. It stems from the classic Maya culture, like between the peak of the Mayan culture was between 600 and 900 BC. No, AD. And they had a psychedelic culture. Look at Maya art. You see it's truly psychedelic. And they used all kinds of materials to get inebriated or to get visions and stuff like this. Oh, by the way, one time I met a guy in Palenque who's what now is called a digital nomad. Not a digital shaman, no, this is not existing so far. But he asked me, oh, I have done mushrooms so many times and I reached a higher level of consciousness. What can I do next? And I gave him the most serious and correct answer. I told him, go and find a stingray. Take the thorn out of it and pierce it through your penis. So he thought I was funny on him, but I was very, very scientific, because that was one of the methods of Mayan priests and shamans at Palenque in classical times. So you pierce your penis, and this heightens your consciousness enormously. So if you believe, what?
At least of your penis.
Yeah, the penis will swell because the poison of the thorn is kind of aphrodisiac. And you will get an erection, and then a lot of blood will come out onto the idols and the temples. And I told him, no, this is really true. I mean, we have archaeological evidence for this ritual, and I can't think of anything higher. But let's say it's useless to think of higher states of consciousness. There is nothing like hierarchy in consciousness. When you high, you high. And that's the quality. And there is no secret initiations into occult cults, and so that's not existing. Don't follow that way. Just take more mushrooms. that may teach you. Oh. Okay, yeah, I said I do the Mick Jagger way. All right, so the Mayan priests and shamans did this bloodletting ritual, and there's fantastic classical Maya carvings of how to do it, and then they depicted the visions you get from it. We actually don't know if they used it in combination with mushrooms or with any other thing. The Mayas had a lot of plants and also the toads used in their preparations for shamanic healing and for ritual festivities. So the place of Palenque is very sacred to the Lancandon-Indians. They say there in front of one of the pyramids, the first pair or couple of god and goddess created the world and everything, and that the ruins are really the old houses of the gods and goddesses. In their perception, these pyramids are just thatched huts, but in ours, it's stone. And the Lacandons now live about 100 kilometers south of Palenque, and I spent there more than 3 years learning the language and the culture and participating in all the rituals, and I learned how to prepare their magic potion. It's called Raetsch, and Raetsch is made from honey, water, and the bark of the Raetsch tree. The tree, the botanical name is Lonchocarpus violaceus. And it contains some alkaloids and some substances called longistolines. They are chemically related to cavains from the kava plant. And these substances are not visionary. They entactogenic. They open all the realm of emotions in us. And so the Lacandon use it to keep harmony in between the tribe's members. And because when you do the right dose, then your heart is totally open and you start to cry out of joy that you're not alone, that there is other people, there's your tribe you're based in. And this is, of course, something which is very difficult for us because we now live in a hierarchical world and not in this anarchical tribal world anymore. But remember, I told you are members of an anarchical tribe, non-centralized, but actually one center is Palenque. So when I lived with the Lacandons, first I had to learn their language. And I had to learn it so well that I was able to remember all the names of the plants and animals living in the surrounding. Because in their shamanism, it's very important that you can create an imagination of the animal spirit or plant spirit you call in. And when I was fluent in the language and when I had enough experiences in hunting and agriculture and everything, they started to tell me their magical incantations or spells, which are actually literal shamanic journeys described in a poetic way with a kind of archaic old language. And I tried to understand all that, and it came out that the enchanter, is this enchanter? The enchanter, yeah. That the enchanter is identifying himself with one person doing a process for healing. And you call in all animals and some plant spirits to help. And this is for healing, but also for brewing the balche drink. Because when you make the mixture out of water, honey, and the balche bark, then you put a spell on the vessel of fermentation. And with that spell, you collect all the poisons, so-called poisons, of animals and plants to make the brew strong. And of course, we would say, no, this is like superstition, but I'm convinced it's not. It worked, because I learned the spell. It's like 400 lines, and realized the better I can repeat the spell, the stronger the brew was. So, and the Lacandons always told me, hey, you learned the spell so perfect, your balche is the strongest we ever had. Of course, I added more bark. And I just mentioned the dose of that drink is 20 liters per person in about 4 hours. So you must be familiar with the theory from Tim Leary and associates about doses set and setting. This is a good model to understand shamanic stuff anyhow. And you have to know how much you use and how do you prepare, and then you have the right set. That means the mythological background of a shamanic universe, and then you have a special place for it, and time. Well, you don't never make this brew just for entertainment, always for rituals, and always for the benefit to the gods and goddesses. So when I wanted to do more experimentation, I just had to say, oh, I feel the gods and goddesses are thirsty, they really need some balche. And then the elder of the tribe said, yeah, go make it. It's very good idea. And the preparation takes about 2-3 days. It's fermenting for a bit. It has almost no alcoholic what? Content. Yeah, and the alcohol you won't feel, because the alkaloids suppress the effects of the alcohol. And the place is the god's house. That's the ritual place you only go to when there is rituals. And that means it has to follow the ritual structure to start the whole thing with burning incense. And this is what I learned, especially from my experiences there, that burning incense or any fumigation or smudging is essential to the use of psychoactive substances. And looking around the world, in every shamanic culture, there is always the use of incense to show the beginning, to show the progression of the ritual, and to show the end. It's like a ritual time room No, room time, space time, or time space. What is better to say?
Time, space.
Time space, okay. It's the ritual time space that is marked by the fumes of the incense. And of course, the use of incense is also an olfactorial conditioning. So when you take part in that ritual with the smell from the incense, you will always get memories of the ritual. So when you do this many times, the deeper the importance of the smell is to your experience. And so if you like to do or conduct entheogenic rituals, don't forget the incense. It sounds like if it's not so necessary, you just want the chemical compounds to work on your consciousness, but since every shamanic culture using different incenses, there must be a very big importance of it for conducting the ritual. And so I have lists of psychoactive plant rituals and the used incenses, and it's really amazing. It's all around the world, the same thing. And of course, to have this perfumed atmosphere is part of the experience. And if you get the smell again, you will be always remember that experience. So it stays with you longer and has a bigger and deeper impact on you. Because why do shamans do entheogenic rituals? You know? I hope you know. Because for healing and for consolidating the tribe and to improve the social togetherness. And you take these substances to feel better or to feel healthier, or to feel that you're part of the jungle, part of the tribe, part of your people, and you're not alone. It's like really important that this use of psychoactive products to be the center of tribal life. It's not something you do along with it. No, you do it to get your personal meaning from being part of everything. So, do I have some time?
10 more minutes.
Okay. After my experience with the Lacandon-Indians, that of course changed my life a lot and was a huge impact into the evolution of my own mind. And I looked for shamanic rituals all over the world using psychoactive plants as an entheogen. And I found that there is so much, and so I studied every publication I could get in hands, and I traveled around the world and met many shamans and learned a lot of their work, and it came up that the use of psychoactive products in shamanism is the core of it. The core of shamanism is taking stuff. And some people think you can do shamanic journeys without stuff. Well, good luck. The safest and most successful way is to take the sacred substance in that tradition, because that is the center of the culture since Stone Age times. And it's really, really fantastic to see that there is so many plants and, of course, mushrooms that have psychoactive properties. And we find more and more and more, and we also do we also find plants with no traditional use attached, but we know from chemistry that they work. So the mass of possible sources for psychoactive compounds is increasing. And there hasn't been any culture like ours to have the knowledge of the usage of all these plants. There was never anybody before us knowing so much. So the knowledge is not lost. We have to find the knowledge and to preserve it and give it to our children and show them the right and beneficial way of indulging all this. You see, in some cultures, in southern Colombia and in Peru, the first thing a newborn baby gets is a drop of ayahuasca. So, and of course, when the kids like it, they can do it all the time. Same with peyote in Mexico and with mushrooms, also in Mexico. It's not bad for the kids. And that is a very broad insight in shamanic cultures. It's not dangerous if you use it properly, because it's a gift of the gods and goddesses to make you happier and healthier. And there's also, in pregnancy, there is a woman in the Amazon using ayahuasca, and in Mexico using peyote or mushrooms. And the native always say, these plants are teachers not only for us adults, already for our kids. And they can start learn about the universe when they're still in the belly of the mother. So this is quite opposed to the perspective of Western culture. And this is very important to know that there is completely different views of the use, the beneficial, healthy use of psychoactive plants. And I always say it's never too early and it's never too late. For example, my father took his first LSD trip when he was 76, and his first mushroom trip when he was 94. And he loved it. So if you want to use these things, look how shamans prepare the stuff, how they dose it, what kind of belief system is important to have for the set, and the mythological background, and the special place. It's not a good idea to take a shamanic potion at the toilet in a train station. That's maybe some people have good experiences, I don't know, but I think it's better to do it in a special place, in a special time. And please remember always the theory of doses, set, and setting. If you are aware of it, and if you follow this, then you might be safe. And you know the meaning of that theory. Doses, of course, is very important. For example, in LSD, if you take 10 micrograms or 50 or 500 or 1,500, it makes a difference. So the experience is mainly influenced by the doses, the set, and the setting equally. And the more aware you are about this, the better for you and for your friends, families, and so on. So, what did we learn? We learned that there is an old traditional use of psychoactive materials in human history. And we learned that there is safe ways using it. And we learned that we have to change our worldview because the shamanic worldview is quite different from the Western worldview. And this might be the reason to become more tolerant and to be more friendly to other people, other tribes, other countries, other cultures. So I have to close now my talk. Please remember my words. You also can forget them, of course, no problem. It's not my problem, but maybe some of the informations I gave might be helpful for you, and I wish you a bright future. Thank you very much.